Well, hello! Where are you all from? Out Lockyer, Sunshine Coast, Toowoomba. Thank you very much. First of all, thank you to the organisers, Sandy, Lee, and all the others. True Blue Crew, thank you very, very much. Secondly, thank you all for coming here today, because you understand what this is about. This is about freedom versus control. And the evidence is right there. They control, they're afraid. Always beneath control, there is fear. Always beneath control, there is fear. Wendy, thank you so much for what you do and how you do it. It's wonderful, never stopping. And this is all about our kids, especially our kids, our country's kids. Now, I am fiercely pro-human. You know that. And I'm also fiercely pro-freedom. I want you to, well, before last 5 weeks, 6 weeks, I've been out in the bush in Western, Central and Southern Queensland, listening to people, townsfolk, farmers. And I've just been down in New South Wales and Canberra, in the south of Canberra actually, doing some more research. 6,000 kilometres plus 2,000 in New South Wales. And the message is clear, and I want to talk about the bigger picture. Because while Wendy talks about the kids, and there'll be other speakers talking about the kids, this is just a symptom of what is coming. Donald Trump, like him or not, I happen to like him. Even if you don't, he said a speech at the UN on Wednesday, Thursday our time. In that speech, he said that the UN's unelected, unaccountable global governance will not take over America. They will not. Now, he announced that it was about global governance. And he also announced that America would put its own rights first and respect other countries. That's all we want. Freedom, sovereignty, and rights. That's all we want. Freedom, sovereignty, and rights. Now, Donald Trump was not reported as saying that on the ABC. Guess what the ABC said? The ABC said he was laughed at. The fact is that he called them out in the heart of the UN. So let's have a look at the bigger picture. Our country, our freedom. 1975, the UN's Lima Declaration was signed. It was signed by Gough Whitlam from the Labor Party. 1976, it was ratified by the Liberal Party under Fraser. The Lima Agreement is about a new world order, an economic new world order. It was about destroying our civilized country's industry. That's what it was about. 1992, the UN's 21st Century Conference for Global Governance, signed by Paul Keating, a Labor Prime Minister. That is now known as UN Agenda 21, UN 2030. And guess what? Guess what? It is now mainstream knowledge. Peter Credlin mentioned it on her show 2 weeks ago. 1996, the Kyoto Protocol. And you may not know this, but in 1996, John Howard was Prime Minister, a Liberal, and said, we won't sign the Kyoto Protocol, but we will comply with it. Well, guess what John Howard did to comply with it? He stole farmers' property rights at the hands of the UN. He put in place a renewable energy target, which is destroying our industry and our jobs. He also promised to put in the first carbon emissions trading scheme. 1996, along came Kevin Rudd in 2007 and ratified it. The destruction of our country. 2015, the Paris Agreement. We made an agreement. Sorry, it's not an agreement really. We made best endeavours. And what is our Prime Minister, Liberal and Labor, doing now? They're wanting to legislate it, rein it in. So what we've seen is the destruction of our industry. We've seen the huge increases in energy. Now remember this, the thing that drove everything that we can see here in the way of material wealth was created by an ever-decreasing price of electricity, ever-decreasing price of energy. And that's the basis of human progress. Now, In the last 10 years, under Liberal and Labor, the price of electricity has more than doubled. This is a reversal of human progress. We've had our property rights stolen by both Labor and Liberal. Farmers especially, but coastal residents, urban residents. We've had our water rights. Nothing more fundamental than water and oxygen. Water rights have been sold to people overseas, institutions overseas. And now we're in a drought and farmers can't get water. And then there's the immigration. Immigration. We recently saw a compact that was to be signed by our government with the UN, giving the UN the right to select the immigrants that come to this country. We have destroyed our sovereignty if we agree to that. That is fundamental. Now you know, many of you already knew it, that's why you're here. The next one, political correctness and free speech. When they talk about safe schools, that's just code word for intimidating and brainwashing kids. We know that, others will be talking about that. We also know that diversity, biodiversity, is just code words for getting control of property rights. They're putting bugs, animals and critters and plants ahead of humans to get your property. The third thing they're doing, sustainability. What a lovely word. And sustainability and the UN is not sustainable without subsidies. It's not sustainable. What they're doing there is putting in legislation through the back door, attached with funding that makes sure that if councils and state governments want funding, they have to comply with their dictates. Where do the dictates come from? The United Nations. The United Nations, Maurice Strong, he's dead now, but he said what his aim was to install unelected socialist global governance. And he wanted to deindustrialize Western civilization. So what we've got now is the governance is the core issue. Wendy and the others will be talking about what the impact is on kids. But this is about governance of our country. It's about our sovereignty. One of the things we need to do is get back to our constitution, destroy the federal bureaucracy in the Department of Education, send it back to the states, because it's the federal government that is allowing all these things to come through, including unsafe schools. Now, the core ingredient to all of those things is 2 letters, UN. We must get Australia out of the UN and the UN out of Australia. Our kids are at stake. Our beautiful kids are at stake. Our nation is at stake. So when you listen to the other speakers talking about the details on the Unsafe Schools program, remember what the real agenda is. And it's not safe schools, it's unsafe schools. They're making kids vulnerable. Unsafe starts with the word UN. Unsafe schools. And one final word. One final word. This issue is about control versus freedom. Thank you very much, Sandy.